Ryan Donato is a 21-goal scorer. The Blackhawks are 6-3 winners, and Seth Jones is a Florida Panther. Think we've got a lot to talk about? Stick around for the CHGO Blackhawks postgame show. Welcome into the CHGO Blackhawks postgame podcast. The Blackhawks beat the Anaheim Ducks 6-3. I didn't know they were allowed to score 6 goals.
Did you know that they have scored 11 goals in the last 2 games and none of them have come from Connor Bedard?
That's pretty crazy.
That's
pretty crazy.
That's crazy and concerning at the same time.
A little bit. Thanks for being with us. We appreciate it. Do us a favor. Hit that like button for us. Make sure you are subscribed to our YouTube page as well. If you're listening on the podcast, thank you. We love you. We wish you were here now live, but that's okay. Like, subscribe on your favorite app, and leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, especially if you are a fan of the Seth Jones trade. We're going to do the Jones stuff in the later half of the show. Mario did a great job breaking it down in the pregame. I was at the Tom Segura concert at United Center, and I got a text from Greg Boyson saying, of course they trade Seth Jones on your night off, and I laughed thinking it was a joke. And I said, I better check my phone just to make sure Greg's not joking.
Just in case.
And he wasn't. He was not joking.
Yeah.
So I got to see the second and third periods here, and it was exciting. I'm glad they waited to score goals until
I was going to say, literally nothing happened in the game until you sat down in the chairs here. And
you're welcome, everybody.
Yeah, I think that was the catalyst of the game tonight. Nothing good could happen until you were sitting and watching the game.
No, and I know a lot of people are going to take some, draw some conclusions. I got a text from someone saying, look how good they look without Foligno and Jones in a lineup. And I know some people are going to draw those lines. But what I liked about this game, aside from the score and the output of goals, was the way they achieved those goals. It was, as we've been talking about for weeks, months, years, whatever you want to say, the simplicity of the game.
Mm-hmm.
You got a shot, take it, you get traffic in front, you score on rebounds. It's how games are won at this league, and they got the message for one night. Lucas Reichel gets in with Philip Kurashev out. Clearly got the message in this game, was attacking the center of the ice, was fast, was aggressive. I love the way the whole team played. And the other thing I really liked was when Anaheim was starting to get pissed off and irritated and taking her cheap shots, the Hawks never backed down. There was a Hawk there all night to answer that bell.
There were at least 3 occasions where, maybe even 4 if I can remember correctly, where Anaheim wanted to be rough and tumble, and the Hawks were not going to sit back and take it. And at least 3 times, it was Colton Dock in the center of it.
Yeah.
It was Wyatt Kaiser jumping in there. Frank Nazar got in on Jacob Trouba. Like, it wasn't, you didn't have to have Pat Maroon or Nick Foligno or those guys do it, or Connor Murphy or anything. Like, even though Connor Murphy got into it as well.
And Maroon was looking forward to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was the young guys that, were jumping in and defending each other. And I think that's part of the equation when you talk about this team moving forward and the organization moving forward and building a culture and everything. You see those young guys doing it, like that's a version of what we're talking about, of like having them come up together, have each other's backs, like, have that element in the room. And when it's the young guys doing it and you see that kind of building, that's a big part of it. And that's really that can be really encouraging. I know it's one game, but on this night with this game, it means a little bit something more.
I think so too, and I think this indicates like a changing of the guard. Jones is gone. You're still going to have Foligno. You're still going to have Dickinson for a long time. Maybe Maroon and Martinez, who were the A's tonight in place of Jones and Foligno. stick around to the end of the year. But either way,
Yeah,
they're
end
gone
of
when
the
the
year.
year's over at the latest.
Right.
And this influx continues. And then hopefully with all the cap space the Hawks have now, which is more than we expected, they add some NHL talent, which, I mean, that's what we were told when I talked to my source the other day before the show, when they said that Donato's as good as gone. The other thing they said was, it's time for this team to get some NHL talent. And I think that's the focus. And getting Spencer Knight and the Seth Jones trade, we're going to get to it, we promise, is another step in that direction. A 23-year-old former first-round pick.
Yeah.
Like, it's good. The things are good. And I think when we have games that were as frustrating as the last few, it's been hard to kind of like, hey, let's stay focused on the young players and the team gelling. The results on the ice have been bad and frustrating, but the young guys are playing well. Don't lose sight of that. That's the stuff you should be excited about.
Yeah, and that's, kind of in the 5 minutes that we took to talk about the game in the pregame show. That was part of it, where I was just kind of, laying out that as you go through the end of this season, the final 20-plus games, your focus should be on the young guys. It should be on what they're doing on a night-to-night basis, positive or negative, because that's really what matters for the org moving forward, and especially this season more than it has since Kyle Davidson's taken over as GM, which today is officially 3 years since he's officially been the GM of the
happy anniversary
of the Blackhawks. But now you're seeing those guys like Slaggert and Nazar and Del Mastro, who had the most he's ever played in an NHL game tonight and was really, really good. You take away what they do more or less than you take away what any of the veterans are doing, because for the final 20-plus games of the year, like this, what those young guys are doing is kind of laying the foundation for what you're going to maybe see or expect going into next season and beyond.
Yeah, it's definitely exciting. Speaking of Kyle Davidson, he is one of our nominees for 4-star of the day. Get your votes in. It's Kyle Davidson, who pulled off a big trade today, Teuvo Teravainen, who had 3 points in this one, and Lucas Reichel, who returns to the lineup with a goal. I know you were crunching some numbers on Teuvo. Is it 32 points in his last 30 games now?
33.
33
points.
It's
33 in his last 30, so half the season. But when you look at it at 2 halves of a season, he had 13 points in his first 30 and now 33 in his second half of the season, 30 games. 46 points on the year is 3 behind Connor Bedard for the team lead. So, I mean, as much as we've kind of hemmed and hawed at Teuvo at times being streaky this year, he is basically, when push comes to shove at the end of this season, so long as he keeps up this pace or close to this pace through the final 20-plus games, I think we're going to look at his first year here, and while the season was pretty rough, he had a really good year at the end of it. Like, if he finishes this year with near 60 points, like I think if you would have said Teuvo was going to finish with between 60 and 55 points, I think you would take it, because I think that would be pretty good, pretty on par with what you might have expected from him.
Absolutely. And I think Bertuzzi, another sort of streaky player, went through and sort of carried the offense for this team for a while too, and got an assist. By the way, made a note of him recognizing that Ryan Donato had scored his 20th goal of the year, first time scoring 20. I don't know if you saw it, but Bertuzzi went and got that puck for him.
Nice.
Right after that was scored. By the way, Vlasic, they showed a cool replay of that goal. Vlasic has it along the line. The shots from behind Vlasic, he shot it at Bertuzzi.
Yeah.
And Bertuzzi just kind of like whacked at it, and it rolled right in front of Donato. I don't know if that was the old Duncan Keith shot pass or if Vlasic just shot it wide, but he shot it right at Bertuzzi as if it was intentional.
Let's say it was intentional.
Next time we have him here, we have to ask him, like, were you trying to hit Tyler Bertuzzi with your shot?
I mean, the way Bertuzzi has a knack for being able to have pucks just kind of bounce off of him or just be in the right spots, I wouldn't be surprised if that was intentional. Like, let me shoot it stick high at Bertuzzi and see if he can get his stick on it. And it was fortunate bounce, and then boom, Donato's right there.
And the timing for Donato scoring 2 goals in this game, lots of eyes on this one. Late night game, trade deadline's close. Scouts are all over the league. If they're not at the game, they're watching games, especially when the earlier games are over.
I'm going to pull it. Ben Pope had it.
Yeah, I mean, And you said it, like Gustav Nyquist gets traded from Nashville to Minnesota for a second-round pick. Was he have 21 points on the year?
21 points on the season, which is as many goals as Ryan Donato has on the season.
This ups the return for Donato. By the way, for the record, I am still team don't trade Donato, team re-sign Donato, but it feels like my wish is not going to happen. But that, I mean, you can't now, when a team calls you about Ryan Donato, and you go, look, Minnesota traded in division, right, with Nashville,
yes,
to get a second-round pick for a guy with 21 points. Our guy's got 21 goals. You're going to have to come stronger than a second-round pick.
Who's also older.
Yes.
And is, okay, yeah, Nashville retained, but they're $1.6 million for Nyquist, $2 million for Donato. It's, I mean, $400,000 is not a major difference for most teams, but I mean, I can't imagine how a team is going, if they're going to go in on Ryan Donato. Like, if I'm Kyle Davidson, I'd say today's price is not yesterday's price, or however that saying goes.
Yeah.
Because now you got a 20-goal scorer on your hands. It's a first-round pick.
Something to keep in mind, too, though, is now with the Jones trade, they have no retention spots left.
No, but at $2 million,
yeah, not a big deal.
I don't think you need to worry too much about that with Donato. And, I mean, if you get a third team involved,
you can find a way to make it work.
Eats a percentage of it to make it under $2 million. Sure, you could do that, but
we'll give you a fifth-round pick to eat half this.
Yeah, but I don't think you need to absolutely do that to move him. Scouts tonight at Blackhawks, Ducks, Kings, Oilers, Panthers, Islanders, Wild, Avs, Blues. So mostly contenders.
Yeah, and the Blues.
And the Blues.
I'm sorry.
Contenders and the Blues. I saw them at Summerfest a couple of years ago.
Before we get the break zone, I do want to talk about Wyatt Kaiser, who returns today.
He had a great game.
Scores a really nice goal, and man, did he look poised with the puck, calm. There's so many times where he had the puck, behind the net, spins off the play, keeps the puck, makes the play off the boards. These are the sort of things when coaches and general managers talk about a guy going down for a reset to like slow things down for them. This is the sort of stuff they're talking about, because after a long stretch of games in the NHL, the speed of the game, the physicality of the game can kind of become overwhelming for young players sometimes. So sometimes going back down to the AHL, working on those fundamentals, getting your confidence back, it goes a long way. And it's one game. I don't want to draw too many conclusions from it in terms of Wyatt Kaiser, but just looked like the best we've seen Wyatt Kaiser. That's how he looked tonight.
Yeah.
He's had games like this before, but to see him come back in a less than ideal situation where your best defenseman's traded hours before the game, to come in and just provide that calm defensive play was very encouraging.
Yeah, and he did it with TJ Brody as his playing partner. Yeah, I mean, it's every time Kaiser goes down to Rockford and comes back up, it feels like he kind of like gets that message of like, this is what I have to go work on. This is how I have to play to make it work in the NHL. It's just about like the consistency level of being able to continue that momentum. He's going to have an opportunity to do it now. Roster spot is open. Young guys are going to get that opportunity. I know Nolan Allen just went down to Rockford. He could come back pretty soon. Kevin Korchinski could be coming up, at any time at the end of the year. So there's going to be competition for roster spots. But if Kaiser puts in games like tonight on a more consistent basis, like he's going to have an opportunity to kind of like take hold of that spot through the end of the year and really, get the NHL squad to like keep an eye on him.
Who are you calling up?
I think I would like to see Kevin Korchinski come up, play, and be on the second power play unit. Have Vlasic.
You got to get some offensive defensive up here now.
Yeah, have Vlasic grow on the first power play unit, which, I mean, he's been on the power play a little bit over the last 2 years, but this is an opportunity to consistently get him there. And I would have Korchinski come up. I'd have him play on the power play as well. And he doesn't have to play 20-plus minutes. Like, you can maybe shelter him a little bit if you need to at 5-on-5, but give him that power play opportunity too, because that's what he's best at. So let him grow at that with that at the NHL level.
All right, we got to hit the break zone for the first time. We're going to switch up format today. We're going to get your super chats in the third segment because we've got to get to the Seth Jones trade. I know that's why everyone's here. We're going to get there. We promise. Do us a favor. Hit that like button over 400 people watching right now. Almost 500. Yeah, we got to get to 200 before we start talking about this trade. So let's do it. We're going to do that, and then we'll get to your super chats after the second break right here on the CHGO Blackhawks podcast. I don't know. I have no resources tonight. Am I first?
It's you. Go ahead.
All right.
Yes.
Hey, guess what? Light beer just got better. Introducing, it's right over there, Sam Adams American Light. It's clean, crisp, and super easy to drink. I can confirm that because I had a couple before I knew I was coming to work tonight. But I'm fine now. That was hours ago. It's so delicious. Everything Sam Adams makes is great, and they finally have a light beer for you, and it's absolutely tremendous. It's not your average light beer. It's brewed with 100% American-sourced ingredients from local independent farmers. It's light beer that's made right. And, at 47 years old, yep, that's how old I am. Don't laugh, Sarah. Drinking a diesel beer, a full beer, I can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
I can't. I just feel awful, and light beer is the way to go for me. And Sam Adams American Light is the GOAT, as the kids say. Do the kids still say that, Sarah? All right, confirmation.
Yeah, so.
People still say the GOAT. It is always Sam season. Sam Adams American Light is an American classic, so smooth you want to crack open another one. Light beer just got better. Grab some Sam Adams American Light. Available now at select Chicago retailers. Must be 21 or over. Please drink responsibly.
Life has been a little crazy lately, whether it's keeping politics out of sports.
What?
Or it's trading Seth Jones.
Something happened?
One thing that helps me and can help you unwind is Cornbread Hemp's CBD gummies. Cornbread Hemp is America's first ever USDA organic CBD company, and their mission is to improve your quality of life with the highest quality hemp. Have you been looking for a natural way to relieve aches and discomfort? Yes. The CBD gummies from Cornbread Hemp are formulated to work with your body, not against it. And you're 47. I'm 35. I'm not as young as I once was, but I still care about maintaining my physical and mental wellness. Cornbread Hemp's CBD gummies are a huge piece of my wellness plan. Got my first game of this upcoming season of Rec League hockey.
Oh.
And coming up tomorrow night, I got my Cornbread CBD gummies waiting for me at home.
Make sure for the recovery CBD and not the THC.
Yeah, for the recovery process, because I'm sure I'm going to be sore. Took my daughter ice skating this afternoon, and my hamstrings are killing me because she is not tall.
No.
I got to hold her up the entire time. Organic, vegan, and good for me, gluten-free. Right now, CHGO listeners are going to get 30% off of your first order. Just visit cornbreadhemp.com/CHGO and use the promo code CHGO at checkout. Again, that's cornbreadhemp.com/CHGO. Use the code CHGO and get 30% off of your first order. This is the good life.
It is. All right, here's the trade. If you missed it, the Blackhawks send Seth Jones and a 2026 fourth-round pick to the Florida Panthers for goaltender Spencer Knight and a 2026 first-round pick. The Hawks will retain $2.5 million on Seth Jones for the next 5 seasons. The pick slides to 2027 if Florida doesn't have a 2026. That's from Frank Saravalli. You had some updated detail on that, the conditions of that pick.
As did Rick Ball on the broadcast. So, as we said on the pregame, it's a conditional 2026 would slide to a 2027 first-round pick for the Panthers if they so choose that condition. But as Rick Ball pointed out, the reason it's a conditional 2026 first-round pick is because the first-round pick that Florida exchanged in the Matthew Tkachuk trade is conditional 2025. It's top 10 protected. Now, the Florida Panthers will not be picking in the top 10 of this year's draft.
Hey, they got Seth Jones now. They might be.
They could lose out.
Going to completely derail their season.
If they go over for the rest of the season, maybe. But so had they landed in the top 10 of this 2025 draft, then that pick going to Calgary would have been the 2026 first-round pick, which would then push the Blackhawks pick back to 2027. It's not going to happen.
Right.
So essentially, without it being 100% guaranteed, it's basically going to be the 2026 pick going to the Blackhawks from the Panthers. So I feel like after getting all of that figured out, I'm fairly confident saying it will be the 2026 first-round pick.
I don't know how anyone who, whether you're a Seth Jones hater, a Seth Jones lover, a Seth Jones meh-er, whatever your opinion is on Seth Jones, I don't know how you don't love this trade.
Yeah.
You're only eating $2.5 million for 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Just take that.
That's big.
You're getting a first-round pick back. I don't care when it is.
That's big.
It's a first-round pick. And you're getting a legit goalie prospect, 23-year-old Spencer Knight, who has won at every level he's ever played at. Hasn't really gotten a huge opportunity in Florida because Bobrovsky's there. So yes, he's going to play. Makes $10 million. Right. He's gonna play for them. He's got 240 goals against, and or maybe 270.
It's a 2.4 goals against this season for Spencer Knight, and a 907 save percentage.
Yeah,
which is pretty good.
That's solid. And I think the best of Spencer Knight's career is still ahead of him.
Oh, I would say so.
23.
Yeah, and goaltending prospect. Even though he's 23, like he is proven at the NHL level.
Yeah.
Like he is, I think, he's only been in a backup role since when he's played in the NHL, but every season that he's been a professional, whether at the AHL or NHL level, he's been above a 900 save percentage for the season. And at the NHL level, he's a career 908 save percentage. So a little bit off, 0.001 off of his career average this year. I think you absolutely take it because you look at where the Blackhawks are at for their future of their goaltending position. Arvid Soderblom's had a really good year this year, which is great. It's a turnaround from the last season and a half that we've seen of him. But also, at the same time, is it enough to say like, oh, yes, he's definitely going to be for the next 7 to 8 years going to be this guy? Like, you don't really I don't know if you have enough to hang your hat on that. Drew Comezzo is coming along at the AHL level. He's still probably a little bit of time away from being in the NHL. Adam Guyon is definitely a number of years away. At least, he's probably 2 more college seasons away from even becoming a professional. So you get a guy at Spencer Knight, 23 years old. He is an NHL goalie. And I think right now, as you look at now the 4 goalies they have that would be at the NHL level, you probably trust them the most.
Oh, yeah, those 4?
I mean, I would trust him the most. I would trust him over Soderblom, player for player.
Yeah.
I trust him over Mrazek from what we've seen. And you have no idea what Laurent Brossoit brings to the table now after essentially missing this entire season.
And that's kind of the question now, and a couple of people have asked in the chat, like, does this mean Peter Mrazek's going to get traded? Maybe?
I mean, it's on the table.
But again, what's the contract? $4.5 million for
4.25, I think, for Mrazek
for this year and next,
for the rest of the season and next year. Yeah,
you don't have a retention spot, which 4.25 is not a hard pill to swallow for a lot of teams.
Yeah,
they can make that work. I just don't know I
don't know what the market would be for a guy like Mrazek the way he's been playing at that money.
I'm just waving him. I'm sorry. Take some interest. Say you can have Peter Mrazek for whatever pick you want to give us. Fine. Whatever. Just name it. Give us even future considerations.
Yeah, 4.25.
And if you can't trade him, waive him. And I know he's not going to be happy about that, but it doesn't matter. Like, it's about making the organization better, and I think you roll with Soderblom and Knight for the next few years and see what you got. Knight is signed through next season, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, I'm on Puckpedia.
Or is there 2 seasons left? Again, I am resourceless today because for the first day in weeks, I did not travel with my laptop.
Spencer Gill.
And some people are saying, like, do you trade Soderblom too?
He is 4.5 through next season.
Okay.
So and he's arbitration eligible RFA after next season.
RFA.
Yeah.
Okay. That's good. That gives him some protection on that too. He's not just going to walk after that year.
Sure. Yeah.
But
he's already up to 4.5. So
yeah.
You might as well give him the big boy deal at that point.
That's what I would do.
Yeah.
Give him what, like 6 now or something? 6.5?
I mean, let's
see how he plays.
I would like to
let's see a game first.
Yeah, I'd like to see him play with this team for a few games before you really get into it. But I mean, I think you're not making him basically the highlight of this trade without some, assurance that he's going to be a part of things moving forward.
Some people asking Soderblom trade.
See, I know it makes more sense coming off of this year and the fact that he's up for a new deal in the summer to be like, yeah, like ride with him. You have Knight. But it, as unfortunate as it might kind of be, he's the easier guy to trade. He's playing better. He's an RFA after this season, or once the season's over. And he's going to cost a team less. So I think you have Knight now.
Less money.
Less money.
Yeah.
As much as it would kind of stink in this season to lose him the way he's been playing, if a team is in a goalie market, he's probably the most attractive of him or Mrazek. Or the more attractive because there's only 2, because he's on an expiring deal. He makes less than $1 million. He's playing better. So that would be the guy that I think if you're making a deadline deal for a goalie, if the Blackhawks are doing that, I think Soderblom makes way more sense.
For me, I gotta get something decent back for Soderblom at this point.
I think you would.
I think so too.
Yeah.
But again, I'm just not interested in stockpiling middle round picks. I just, first, second rounder, okay. But if we're talking third, fourth rounder, no. I'd rather roll with them and see. And
right. And
you waive Peter Mrazek and he plays in Rockford and he's unhappy. It worked for Athanasiou. It is what it is. It's a game of performance. If you're not performing, you are not guaranteed a roster spot simply because you're a veteran.
I think if you were to send Peter Mrazek down, I think he probably would be inclined to be like, all right, then I'll go anywhere else. Like we talked about with the contract termination and stuff. He seems like a guy that going to Rockford would be like a disrespectful move. Okay. And yeah, I'm sure no one really cares about that, but I'm just saying, from my perspective of what his perspective could be, that could be something that could happen.
I'm not worried about it.
Okay.
I mean, if you, and this is just a general statement for everyone on the roster, if you want to not be waived,
yeah, you got to play better.
You play better.
Yeah,
you don't give up 3 goals above expected in 20 minutes.
Fair.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You just simply because you are a veteran doesn't just give you carte blanche to suck.
No, I know.
With no consequence. And look, I know the Hawks are typically respectful of their veteran players. We're seeing evidence of that this year with Seth Jones wanting out. They made it happen quickly. They got a good return. Everybody's happy. Martinez and Maroon might want to not be traded, so they're going to respect those wishes. If that's the case, fine.
Like either of those guys are going to move.
But it's fine, right? But yeah, I would say those 2 have been more consistently dependable than Mrazek. And look, I'm taking nothing away from Mrazek's year last year. If it wasn't for Peter Mrazek, the Hawks would have been, holy God, unwatchable. He was great last year. There's no doubt about it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not last year. And now you bring in a 23-year-old stud goalie prospect who's got NHL success already. This is what we've been talking about since the inception of the show is trade veterans for young, promising players with a little bit of NHL success already. This is the goaltending version of Logan Stankoven, Maverick Bourque, whatever young forward that we have all had our eyes on. Shane Pinto, I see his name's in the chat. This is the goalie equivalent of that.
Mm-hmm.
So make space for him. If you want to split time with him and Comesso down the stretch, fine. If you want to give Knight 3 out of 4, fine. However you want to do it, fine. I'm just not keeping Mrazek around simply because he's a veteran. Maybe they'll carry 3 goalies. It would shock me, but maybe they would.
I would legitimately be shocked.
But I
feel like you never see that in the NHL.
I think this trade sends a note to the league that says Peter Mrazek is available. If you want him, call us and we'll make something happen.
Maybe.
All right, got to hit the break zone. We are over 200 likes, but just barely. Let's get way over that 200 like mark. We have almost 600 people watching. Let's make that math a little more even, please. I know you're might be new, might be checking this out for the first time. We appreciate that. Hover that little thumbs up button, click it, and then hover over a little more to that subscribe button. Click it. It would mean the world to us on a good night, a rare good night for the Blackhawks. Let's celebrate. Hit that like button. We'll be back with your super chats and a whole lot more on the CHGO Blackhawks postgame show. And am I first?
Yes, you are.
Okay. Are you ready to optimize your nutrition this year?
Yes, I am.
Factor has chef-made gourmet meals that make eating, well, easy. They're dietitian approved and ready to heat and eat in 2 minutes so you can fuel right and feel great no matter what life throws at you. Factor arrives fresh and fully prepared, perfect for any active, busy lifestyle. I love it. You get the big box of Factor meals in the cooler with the ice ready to go. You can literally cut the box open and start preparing the meals in 2 minutes right there. They've got 40 options across 8 dietary preferences on the menu each week. It's easy to pick meals tailored to your goals. Choose from preferences like Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, or Keto. Factor can help you feel your best all day long with wholesome smoothies, breakfast, grab-and-go snacks, and more add-ons. Did you get the juice in your package? The Factor juices?
Excuse you.
They're very good. They're delightful.
Yeah, I did.
They're really good. Grow up, all right? This is an adult program. Eat smart with Factor. Get started at factormeals.com/CHGOHawks50 off and use code CHGOHawks50 off to get 50% off your first box plus free shipping. That's code CHGOHawks50 off at factormeals.com/CHGOHawks50 off to get 50% off free shipping on your first box. That's the number 50. So CHGO Hawks 50 off. Take advantage. Get yourself some Factor meals today.
And if you are in the market for a brand new vehicle, might I suggest checking out our friends at Ray Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram in Fox Lake. You can head to Ray Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram on Route 12 today to choose from their huge inventory of new Chryslers, Dodges, Jeeps, and Ramses vehicles. Or you can shop any of their 125 vehicles priced under $20,000. And with a friendly team of brand experts, the team at Ray Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram is here to help you during each step of your car shopping journey. Plus, since they prioritize affordability, you know you won't overpay for the vehicle you need. And with Ray's Price Promise, you can shop comfortably with no add-ons, no hidden fees ever. The price you see is the price you pay. It's that simple. So go check out our partner today to shop one of the Chicago area's largest inventories. Find the right new vehicle for you, then drive home happy. The team at Ray Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram is the only one we recommend. For more information, visit Ray CDJR today on Route 12 in Fox Lake or online at raycdjr.com. They've been serving the community since 1963.
All right, to the Super Chats we go.
We'd like to remind you folks, well, keep your questions within the boundaries of good taste.
Chris P., $2, says, call me crazy. A first-round minimum for Donato, also
You're not
W
crazy.
trade. Yeah, it's not crazy at all. That value is going up and up as he scores goals.
I'm sending a message.
Okay. Mr. Koala. With
Hold on. On Donato.
Yes.
As we were saying about 20-goal scorer, 21-goal scorer.
Yes.
43 points, I think it is now. 44?
Seems right.
I think 43.
To the internet.
43, because he had 3 tonight. He came into the game with 40 points. Pretty sure.
Math checks out.
And here's a stat that I looked up after he scored his second goal of the game, which was at even strength, giving him 18 even strength goals for the season. Ryan Donato's 18 even strength goals this season are more than Sam Reinhart, Sebastian Aho, Rupe Hintz, Nathan McKinnon, Nico Hischier, Jack Eichel, it's going to get better, Artemi Panarin, Austin Matthews, Jake Gensel, and Connor McDavid. Among many others that didn't make the list, but I don't pay for Twitter, so I don't only have so many characters. That is incredible. He has more even strength goals than all of those guys, some of which you would pencil into the Hall of Fame right now,
including Ryan Donato.
I think it is not insane to say, as the question, it is not insane, not crazy, rather, Chris P.
Yes.
Terminology is correct. It is not crazy to think a first-round caliber asset should be the return for Ryan Donato. If it's a pick, or if it's a player of that ilk, yes,
like
that's
that
the word
word
I was looking for.
Yep.
That should absolutely be the price tag for Kyle Davidson. And if you don't get it,
don't trade him.
Then you keep him.
Yep.
And it's fine.
All right, Mr. Koala, $2, says, gotta flip some first to help Bedard. Where is he? Yeah, Bedard, I thought he was a little better tonight. He had a couple chances in the third where he sort of drove to the net, tried to get that top glove side goal on Gibson.
Gibson made a really good save on him.
Got a piece of it barely on one, and then one he shot just inches wide of the post. He was right there when Donato scored. Had Donato not gotten that puck, Bedard would have scored on that. I'm not making excuses for him. He needs to be better. He needs to be picking up points. In a 6-goal game, Connor Bedard needs to be on the score sheet. That has to happen. I don't care if it's a goal. There's got to be an assist for Connor Bedard in a 6-goal game.
Well, and as Greg pointed out, the last 2 games, 11 goals, not a single point for Connor Bedard. Like, hey, that's great that the supporting cast is stepping up.
Yeah,
that's great. But you still want Bedard to be able to generate something from that. I'd hope that he comes home now 3 games in a row at home. Like, get him back in with a home crowd, and maybe that can get him out of this. I think it's now 5 games without a point slump. That'd be nice to see.
Yeah, he's not scored since the Four Nations. Doesn't have a point since the Four Nations, I don't think. Not good. I want to go back, by the way. Last year, we had Nick Foligno here, and we were talking to him about Bedard, and there were also, maybe it wasn't, some people thought he was not doing enough. And Foligno talked about the importance of getting away from hockey a little bit. You don't have to be on the ice every day. You don't have to be the first guy on and last guy off after every practice. It doesn't mean you don't care. It doesn't mean you're not trying to get better. But I think we're seeing a little bit, and we saw last year too, a little bit of burnout from Connor Bedard. And I thought the Four Nations face-off would be really good for him to kind of regroup, get some rest, come back. But since they've come back, he's looked tired. He's looked slow. He's looked kind of out of it. So maybe he's running out of gas again. And I don't know if the Hawks need to start hiding his sticks and hiding his skates until practice time or whatever it might be. But I think we're experiencing some burnout, both mentally and physically, from Connor Bedard. Yes, he needs help. That is fully acknowledged. It is, to me, priority 1 is getting the coach right. Priority 2 is getting a legitimate all-star level help for Connor Bedard. But excuses aside, he's got to produce. He's got to get points. He's got to be more of a factor because there's other guys with less of a pedigree that are factoring into the game every night.
Yeah. And I think to the question, like you have draft picks and you have assets that you can flip and utilize to get some marquee players in here, or at least use them in the process to get players that are going to try and help push things forward. And whether it's someone who pairs up with Bedard or someone who just by their presence in the lineup can, take a little bit off of the pressure off of his shoulders.
Yeah.
Offensively, like that would be a good thing. And Davidson's been aggressive before with, trading picks and either trying to move up in the draft, or now we've seen him be able to kind of focus on getting younger players to, get into the NHL quicker. I wouldn't be surprised if something like that either comes down the line here this next week, or if it happens on the draft, not on the draft floor because they don't do that anymore.
On the draft Zoom.
On draft nights.
Yeah. All right. $5 from Wet Banana.
Wet Banana.
Are you worried about Bedard after these last few games? He has not looked the same. Would love to see Teuvo back with him. Yeah, kind of in that discussion, but wanted to get that as it applies to what we're talking about.
Are you worried about Bedard from someone whose avatar is Connor Bedard looking sad in the penalty box?
Yeah. Boy, that, by the way, you know what's not helping is
the internet.
Every time he makes a face that there's a Zapruder level dissection of it,
mm-hmm.
He's in the penalty box and he looks frustrated. Yep.
Right.
That's typically how players look when they're in the penalty box.
Like,
only Landon Slaggert is the guy smiling in the penalty box because he's smiling all the time.
OMG, save Bedsy with 1,000 crying face emojis. It's like, okay.
Yeah, that's not helping things for him.
Yeah. No, I'm in the grand scheme of things, I'm not worried about him. To the other, comment from Wet Banana, would love to see Teuvo with him. Yeah. I'd prefer Teuvo over Andreas Athanasiou playing with Connor Bedard. I don't think that's a bad idea.
We had the Athanasiou moment tonight. It's the first thing I saw when I walked in.
You knew.
Walked in, said hi to Sarah, looked at the TV. I'm like, oh, look at Athanasiou breakaway.
You knew he was going to get a breakaway and going to not score on it. That's the way. That's the tradition.
All right, we have a combined $14.98 super chat from Anthony Mendoza, who says, can we finally see Reichel stay in a solidified spot after tonight's play? Kid has nonstop proved he has what it takes to stop the Rockford nonsense. Well, he's not been in Rockford all year. And he's played the majority of the games as the fourth line center.
Yeah.
I think at this point, I want to see him get better opportunities up front. And maybe they're not going to come right away because he was kind of thrown back in the lineup because Kurashev is dinged up and Foligno is dinged up.
Mm-hmm.
But scoring a goal helps. And doing all the things the coaches want you to do certainly helps. So hopefully he gets an opportunity. Maybe you throw, Athanasiou has played a lot of center in his time here. Maybe you throw Reichel down or throw Reichel on his spot, top line left wing, and put Athanasiou between Maroon and Smith.
Well, we know Lucas Reichel can score on a breakaway.
Yeah, like,
he did tonight.
Why not figure it out?
Yeah, I wouldn't hate that. I think you're in the final stretch of this season. You want to find out who Lucas Reichel is. Give him some bigger opportunities than playing with Maroon and Smith. Like it's really helped him this year at times. But I think he should try. They should try and graduate him from that role and give him some more opportunities. This from Ben Pope, quote from Lucas Reichel after the game. Quote, it felt good to be back. It's not always easy if you get scratched. First game back, the timing is a little off, but I tried to make the best of it, stay positive, and play a little pissed off. I'm glad it worked out. Good. That's the mentality you want to have a guy come back from getting scratched. You want to have him have a little bit of an edge, a little bit of like, okay, I'm going to go prove it. And Reichel had that kind of response tonight, and that's fantastic. More of that from him, and I think we're all going to feel a little easier about him.
Boris Dachuk says, with Florida having no state income tax, is the 2.5 retained tax as if he's in Illinois, or is this whole contract in Florida now on paper? No, so think of it as your salary, right? So if you make $100,000 and you live in Chicago and then you get transferred to Florida and you make $100,000, that change is going to come when you're taxed on your paycheck. It's $2.5 million. The taxes are impacted on Seth Jones's paycheck only. The salary is the salary.
Yeah.
The salary cap hit and retention have nothing to do with taxes.
So what's coming from Florida on his now $7 million that they're on the hook to pay him?
Exactly.
Yeah. Right.
So Seth Jones will be taxed on the entire deal, though. He's still making the full salary.
Yes. He's getting $2.5 million is on the books from the Blackhawks, and $7 million is from Florida.
So the question is, okay, I see what you're saying.
I
would imagine the 2.5 will be Chicago tax, and the 7 will be Florida tax.
That makes sense to me, but I'm not my dad. I'm not an accountant, so I wouldn't know the exact details.
Unless
but
that
sounds correct.
It's an interesting question because
someone smarter than me would know the answer.
It ain't me.
That sounds correct. That what he is on the books for from Florida is the Florida tax, and what is coming from the Blackhawks would be Illinois.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
You're taxed on where you play. So like different game checks from road games are different than home games. From what I've gleaned from hearing NHL players talk about paychecks and contracts and all that stuff.
Interesting. We'll try to find this out for Monday. Could be an interesting thing.
I have no idea, but that sounds right. That the $7 million from Florida is its own Florida.
That's right.
Thing.
Question for a player. Has anyone on the Hawks ever had retained salary
or an agent?
I can find that out.
Yeah,
I know people. All right, $2 from Windy City Hockey says, I really love this trade by the Blackhawks. Yep, thank you.
It's a good one.
Test my tickles. Come on. Again, let's be grown-ups here, okay? Jeez. I just wanted to give you guys some money.
Give my tickles.
Thank you for the money. Test my
thanks.
tickles.
Appreciate it.
Boris Tachuk, again, childlike. Have y'all ever farted while live?
Yeah.
You have here?
Oh, yeah.
I have not done it here. I'm Fat Podcast
Absolutely.
all the time.
I might have done it this show.
I was going to say something.
No, I have not. Not
Sarah?
Not this show.
You ever farted while producing the show?
No.
Girls don't fart, I'm told.
Having a 3-year-old daughter, they absolutely do fart, and they giggle all the time when they do it.
Yeah, because farts are hilarious.
They are.
It's
They're
a trumpet sound coming out of your butt. That's amazing.
It's healthy.
It is healthy. Thank you, Sarah.
Healthy.
Usually it is.
It means you got good digestion.
Mm-hmm.
Brandon, $10, says, got the new Jordan 12s.
Nice.
Jones traded. Cena goes heel.
Yeah, how
and
about
the Hawks
that?
win today. Was a good day. Waiting for the shoe to drop now. What are the chances Mrazek goes to IR? Hasn't been the same since he got hurt. I don't know. That's another thing they could do is fake an injury, but I don't think that Peter Mrazek has any interest in that. He's a prideful.
No, he
dude.
wants to play.
Yeah.
The John Cena heel turn. How about that?
You know what? I did not see that coming.
CHGO Wrestling's going to do an episode on Tuesday, so
Yes.
everyone should tune into
Big
that.
Dave and Greg.
Yep.
I believe Big Dave
Called it.
Yes,
he did.
Yeah. Quite the post match
Press conference.
press conference, quote unquote. But no, just the how that all played out. Spoiler alert for those that haven't seen it yet. Cody Rhodes drops a straight up F-bomb. I believe it was I forget the name of the rapper. There's a rapper that's in the ring while this Rock, Cody, John Cena promo was going on.
DJ Jazzy Jeff.
It wasn't him.
The Fresh Prince.
Whoever the rapper was, can't
Cool
remember.
movie.
Just like
Young MC.
straight up smoking weed in the ring.
Oh, nice.
So that was interesting. And then the Cena heel turn. Like, it is a wild 5-minute segment. Go check it out if you have not. And if you are a fan of wrestling, or if you're just a fan of pop culture and know who John Cena and The Rock are from their movies.
All right, one more. Again, childlike behavior from Jack Mehoff.
I think it's Mayoff.
Mayoff, Bernie's son.
Yeah.
Who is the next to be traded? I think the safe bet's Donato.
I think it's Ryan Donato.
But
and honestly, that unless something comes out of left field, that feels like
that might be it.
That's it. Yeah. But I mean, if your big trade deadline or leading up to the deadline moves are Jones and Donato
and Taylor Hall, let's not forget that.
And Taylor Hall too. Yeah, okay, that's true. Taylor Hall too. Travis Scott. Thank you guys. Travis Scott was the rapper. If your big no, it wasn't. If your big moves garner, well, 3rd round pick from Hall, but first from Jones, Spencer Knight, and should be first or first caliber player from Ryan Donato. Yeah. I think as a whole, that's a win, a big win.
Luke says, I don't know what a heel turn is. It's when a good guy turns bad.
It's when you do this.
It's like Anakin.
Heel turn.
When Anakin becomes Darth Vader.
Yeah.
That's a heel turn.
In wrestling, you have your face, which is your good
guys,
and your heel, which is your bad guy. And a lot of them over the course of their careers flip-flop between roles of being good guys, being bad guys. But John Cena has essentially for 20 years
been a good guy,
only a good guy, or he's been that like good guy who's kind of has heel tendencies, like Steve Austin at times was like he's the good guy, but he's still like drinking beers and kicking people in the nuts and stuff. But he's still the good guy. But yeah, so this is big for the illustrious career of John Cena. Anyways,
yeah, he really needs
to
get over the hump.
Wrestling. Yeah, he'll finally be over now.
Yeah, finally.
Yeah.
Oh, man. All right, we are really close to 300 likes. Can we please get to that number? We're at 261. Would love to see that number hit 300. That might be the first time this whole year.
We have, we have more quotes here coming in from
let's hit them.
Post game. This was Ben Pope, from Ben Pope. Lucas Reichel on the Seth Jones trade says, quote, "It's tough because he was a good leader for me. Whatever I had, I can tell him and ask him questions. It's definitely hard, but he's going to a good team, and I think that's what he wants. I hope he does well there." More quotes come in post-game regarding the Jones trade. This from Alec Martinez, coming from Phil Thompson. Quote, "Obviously, it's disappointing. I've come to get to know him. Really good guy. Obviously, wish him the best." And in the intermission, the first intermission, on CHSN, Connor Murphy spoke a little bit about the trade. He was being interviewed by Kaylee Chelios in the intermission. Murphy said, "The reality of not having a guy around in the room at dinners or at home with you is hard. He was such a great teammate and star player for us and led the way for us in many different ways. It's hard losing teammates. It's a hard time of the year." So
yeah, I mean,
by all indications,
his teammates liked him.
Yeah,
like there's no doubt about it. And I saw Greg mention it too, that it was a guy he enjoyed covering. Me too. Like people said, like, why is Seth Jones just now talking out? Like that's not really the case. He's always been available. He's always spoken his mind when
this last week
to be spoken.
This last week was like the most honest he's been, but he's always been a guy that didn't necessarily hold things back when pressed.
He raised the alarm bells maybe more than anybody at the exit interviews last year.
Mm-hmm.
Like you knew Foligno was going to say unacceptable, all this stuff, but when Seth Jones is there saying it, like he didn't have to do that.
And it's not just the words, but it's it's the way in which they were delivered. Like it was, I remember being there and like as he's answering and kind of just taking notes as we were going along, it was just kind of hitting me of like, man, like this is not the vibe I expected at this end of the season presser. And it was, it was a lot of honesty.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was also, I think, off the heels of Tyler Johnson basically going deuces Chicago.
Yeah.
So that was the tone setter for that.
All right. A couple names have been brought up in the chat about as trade targets. And maybe these happen in the offseason. We don't know. One is Elias Pettersson from Vancouver. Brock Besser, another guy from Vancouver. Looks like the Canucks might be selling. They're kind of falling apart at this point.
And it looks like Quinn Hughes is hurt.
Yeah. So as time is going by, I am less and less excited about the idea of Elias Pettersson. Look, I know what the numbers say. I know he's put up massive goal totals, point totals before. He's relatively young. For a guy who's accomplished as much as he has, he's relatively cheap. He's not, isn't he like $8 million or something? He's not.
He is 11.6
11.
million.
Okay, but still, all right. That's about right then. He's not really a bargain, but he's not really overpaid. So fine. As we've been talking over the last few games about the culture of this team, I don't love him as a culture fit. I know he would help Bedard. I know he would make the team better. And look, maybe he just needs to change of scenery. Playing in Canada is a lot for guys. It's the same deal. A lot of people, why you think Mitch Marner is going to become a free agent, because Toronto is a lot. Vancouver is a lot. I'm worried about that. Brock Besser, not the fastest skater in the world, but more affordable. He will need a new contract if you trade for him. Okay. I could get on board with that depending on what it takes to get him. JJ Pettersson from Buffalo.
That is the one
I like that a lot.
All in on. Yeah, I think with Pettersson, not the easiest year this year in Vancouver, and team results and again, speaking of expectations and falling short of them for the Blackhawks, even more so for Vancouver. That's a team that was expected to be in the playoffs, expected to be pushing for cup contender status, and they're likely going to be out of the playoffs, and they're selling. They got rid of JT Miller, and then JT Miller and Elias Pettersson. I thought the NHL was no soap operas, just hockey. It has been a big soap opera in Vancouver this year. Might I point out, for Elias Pettersson in 53 games this year, 11 goals, 35 points. That's less than Ryan Donato. So I think a Ryan Donato for Elias Pettersson one-for-one straight-up trade I think that's a win for Vancouver.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm into that.
I think out of those three that you're naming, I'd go with JJ Pettersson because I think the money is easier. He's younger. He's definitely an established NHL guy that can, I feel like he's still rising in his game. He's a guy I absolutely would be in on if he's actually available from Buffalo. Same thing with Buffalo and Dylan Cousins. There you go. Here's a friend for Lucas Reichel.
That's right.
Because Philip Kershaw's probably gone.
So Pettersson, 23 years old. He'll be 24 in January, so he just turned 23. 6 foot 189. He's got 127 points in 217 games, 45 points in 56 games with Buffalo this year. I love that fit. Does Ryan Donato... see, that's the thing, though. It's like, because now your biggest trade piece, Seth Jones, is gone. So I don't know why Buffalo would trade Pettersson for Ryan Donato.
No,
it doesn't make them better.
I don't think they would. Pettersson is like, hey, here's Florida's 2026 first, and I don't know, take your pick of
give him a second this year.
Yeah, that's where
it's time to start adding players.
You use those draft picks as currency, because if Buffalo wants to give up on 23-year-old JJ Pettersson or 23-year-old Dylan Cousins, give them draft picks, because what else do you want for a 23-year-old guy that you thought you were building your franchise around? Draft picks?
Yeah, and it's some people saying they want Dmitry Voronkov from Columbus, but again, that was more of the Seth Jones train of thought. Was you're going to give?
You still could with the.
I don't know why Columbus is trading a 24-year-old with 40 points.
Yeah,
this year.
Especially when they're going for they have a legit shot at playoffs.
It doesn't make sense from their standpoint.
Yeah, I just don't think it's teams that are going to be pushing for playoff spots don't want to get rid of their really good guys right now.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you want to get in off-season stuff, if those, I don't know if any of those guys are under contract. Petterson's an RFA after this year. Like that's where you go in the off-season.
Yeah, well, in Buffalo, Buffalo's got a lot of appealing players. Like Dylan Cousins is a name we've heard forever. Alex Tuch seems to be a name on the market. So any of those Buffalo guys, I'm in on. I just don't know why they're trading any of them. And I don't think,
I don't understand it for Buffalo either, but if they're available,
It's
Call
Buffalo.
them.
Well, it's
Figure it
Buffalo.
out.
They're very willing to trade good players just because they get
Sure.
bored. So, in BT Goal 342 with a $5 super chat says Ilya Sorokin has more goals in 2025 than Elias Pettersson.
I think Sorokin scored tonight.
I don't think he's worth trading for this season. Yeah, I mean, look, Pettersson might be a classic change of scenery candidate.
Yeah.
But when the development of culture is so important here and it's been an issue, I'm either not touching it or I'm really counting on the Hawks pro scouts to really, really dig deep and figure out what the hell is going on with him this year.
Yeah. I mean, he feels like a guy that could be like Pierre-Luc Dubois. We were all begging on him and his multiple trades over the years, and now he comes to Washington and we're like, oh, good luck with that. And he's been a big part of their success this year.
Well, I mean,
that could be the case.
And this year for Pettersson is the outlier, right? First year, 66 points in 71 games.
Mm-hmm.
Next year, 66 and 68. The following year, 21 and 26, 68 and 80, 102 and 80, 89 and 82 last year. He had 34 goals last year.
Yeah.
And 35 and 54 this year. So still not having a terrible year statistically.
But not up to what you would expect of him.
No. So I don't know. I worry. I kind of worry about it. But as Trent Big Yanni says, trading for Pettersson now is like buying Bitcoin in 2012. Get them while they're low or cheap.
And then pull the rug out.
Yeah, I'm just worried. I'm just worried about it. And I know he's not been fully healthy, but I don't know.
I mean, the thing is, he's likely not going to be a Blackhawk. So
I'd say probably not. I mean, I think when you trade JT Miller, you are making the statement that you're keeping Pettersson.
Yeah, Vancouver made their decision. Now, if they want to trade both of them, that's a big direction change. Quinn Hughes is going to look even more miserable than he usually does.
Yeah, he looks like his dog is perpetually dying.
Yeah. All right, 4-star of the night, and then call it a day.
4-star of the night, as voted by you, the chat.
It's Kyle Davidson.
Kyle from Chicago. What was the percentage, Sarah? Do you have it handy? 53%.
All right, that's a majority.
Yeah.
Out of 378 votes.
Beautiful.
So, yeah, it's not bad.
All right.
Yeah, it's a good night, and this coming from a famously pro Seth Jones podcast.
Oh, 100%.
The Blackhawks, I think they got the better end of the deal, but I believe Florida also got what they were hoping for. They got somebody
both sides are happy with.
They got somebody that's going to not have to be the number one defenseman playing half the game. They got someone who's probably going to give you what a $7 million defenseman could give you in a second pair role. I think it's good for Florida.
It works for both teams.
And it's great for the Blackhawks.
100%. All right. Everyone says it looks like I'm wearing these gloves as socks.
Gloves?
No, I got shoes on.
Oh.
I honestly just noticed that.
I should look like.
And hey,
these are Seth Jones gloves.
These are Seth Jones's game-used gloves, by the way. Last time they'll be on the set.
And are keeping my
I thought
toes
it would be
warm.
the last time.
Yeah.
We have a stick of his, don't we?
Not anymore.
No.
Going to use it to make the fire to burn the gloves.
All right, we are going to wrap things up. We are off tomorrow. We are back Monday. Keep in mind, though, if someone's traded tomorrow, we'll be around to do an emergency pod in some way, shape, or form. We always do it.
I don't bring my phone on the bench during games, so if it's tomorrow night
after
after 7:30,
I'll do solo.
I'll
have to wait.
I'll be around.
I did it from a lounge chair at the United Center tonight.
I'm just doing laundry tomorrow.
Yeah, I was doing that.
I'll be home.
It's a good day to do it.
Yes, 100%. All right, we'll talk to you. Who are they playing Monday? Haven't even gotten that far yet.
A hockey team.
A hockey club. A hockey squadron.
It's they play Ottawa on Wednesday. It is the LA Kings.
The
LA Kings. Future Blackhawk Quentin Byfield will be in town,
man.
is future Blackhawk Alex Turcotte.
Well, of course.
Mm-hmm.
7:30 puck drop. So no pregame, obviously, for a home game. We'll talk to you after that, after Hawks and Kings, Monday night on the CHGO Blackhawks podcast.
We all silly like the mayor.